It's Gunvoor time! Hello people, welcome back to another video. Jesus Christ, my camera finally works. You have no idea how much trouble I had to get that to work actually. It's far more annoying than it should have been. I don't know if it's a Windows 10 thing, but for some reason it just wouldn't work. So I had to try different drivers, but it seems to work now, so anyway, I'm not gonna talk about that. What I'm gonna talk about is this build I've been using for the past week. So, the season is here, it has started. I decided to start with a Demon Hunter. So, this is kind of, you know, the old Marauder with the sentries. It uses the Marauder set, as you can see here. And there are a couple of items which make this really strong. The first is of course the Manticore. As you who have played for a while might recognize, the Manticore didn't really have any special properties back in the day. But now they've added, well, of course the cluster arrow damage by 75, that's quite a lot. But the property of it is that it reduces the hatred cost of your cluster arrow as well. So with that said, there's gonna be a lot of, you know, spamming the cluster arrow, and it's a powerful spell, so it's really useful. So you will be using, of course, the Bombardier's Rucksack. It's basically the same as it was, except that it gives sentry damage. So your sentries will actually deal a lot of damage now. But yeah, it basically increases the maximum of sentries you can have. Of course, the Marauder set, as I showed you. You will be using the Zoe's Secret Belt for toughness reasons. Because the Marauder set, it allows you to have all of your pets active at the same time. And you take 8.9% less damage for every companion you have active, so it really adds up. Also, toughness reasons, you will be using the Reps of Clarity. These bracers are actually used in a majority of Demon Hunter builds just because of how good they are. So your hatred generators reduce your damage taken by 33% for 5 seconds. So it's a really nice toughness boost. Of course, you'll be using the Focus Restraint combo. The Focus Restraint I got is... they're pretty crappy so far, but I mean, you can get better. The problems I have had with this build right now is that the itemization is not really that great. I mean, I have the required items to make the build work. But as far as, you know, getting ancients or, you know, the preferred stats, the good rolls on things, that's not really... hasn't happened to me yet, because if you check this Manticore, that's not really that interesting at all. The damage is shit, to put it bluntly. But I'm working on it, so yeah. For legendary games, you will be using Bane of the Stricken. This works as always really great in Great Rifts because of the damage against bosses. That's basically the reason you're using it. I'm using Bane of the Powerful right now. I haven't really figured out a quote-unquote third good gem yet, so I'm using that for the elite damage and the general damage it gives. Bane of the Trapped is a must-have for the variety of the build I'm using right now, because for reasons I will show you later. That's the gear, and let's show you the cubed items. For the cube, you will be using the weapon Dawn, because I don't think you used this before, but you will be using Vengeance, and as this weapon makes the Vengeance really good because it reduces the cooldown by 65%. And that combined with the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac makes the build so good because you can have infinite Vengeance. And Also, to boost the Vengeance even more, you use the Visage of Junes, or Goons, whatever, which makes the Vengeance gain the effect of the Darkheart rune. And what the Darkheart rune does is that it reduces the damage you take while in Vengeance by like 50%. So it's a huge toughness boost. And so the rune I'm using, let's open up the skills. The rune I'm using then with the Vengeance is Seath, because it grants you so much hatred, which allows you to, you know, spam Cluster Arrow a lot more. But yeah, for the focus proc, I'm using the Evasive Fire because it regenerates a lot of hatred, it's quick, it's a generally good skill. Also it to proc the bracers for the toughness. Cluster Arrow, I'm using the Cold Rune Maelstrom, because this ties in with the Bane of the Trapped, yeah. And because if you have cold damage, it acts as if the target is slowed. So you will get that permanent damage bonus. So you don't have to, you know, stand near the mobs. You generally don't want to stand near the mobs in this build. For the sentry, I'm using the Spitfire turret. There is an argument to be made that you can use the cold aura turrets, but generally I think the Spitfire is better because of the passive I'm using, because it shoots rockets. Vault, I'm using Tumble because to get around easier. It doesn't really matter what companion you're using. I'm just using Wolf because I have to use something, but you gain the benefit of all the companions anyway with the Marauder set, so pick what you want. Vengeance I've shown you. The passives, I'm using Tactical Advantage. You probably don't need to have that actually. You can just as well switch that out for like Blood Vengeance or something, because to gain a lot more hatred. You can switch it out for, of course, Awareness if you're planning on farming really high Great Rifts, because you get a sheet death from that. Ambush is pretty good because of the damage you can deal immediately. But yeah, I'm using that for now. But as for the others, Custom Engineering is a given, because not only does it increase the duration of your sentries, but it increases the maximum of sentries you can have. So with this setup I'm using, I can have a maximum of 5 sentries, and I will tell you about that in a short bit. I'm using archery because of the crit chance. No, actually, that's my bad. The hatred per second, actually. That's what you get for a two-handed crossbow. They changed that, I think. I'm not really entirely sure, but that's what it gives you. Ballistics, because it reduces the damage of your rockets. And that's basically why I'm using the Spitfire turret, but because it shoots out a lot of rockets, and those deal extra damage. And the Maelstrom thingies counts as rockets as well. So that's a lot of damage going out. But the thing I want to point out is that because you can have so many sentries out at the same time, it's very important, because the 6-piece of your Marauder set basically makes it that every skill you use, of the primary ones of course, but the Cluster Arrow in this case, it increases the damage of those by 600% for every active sentry you have out. So with 5 sentries, that you're looking at 3000% increased damage of those skills, so that's a lot. So of course it's important. Yeah, that's basically the build and the skills. If you look at the Paragon points, of course you want to be speccing in the movement speed as usual to max that, go dexterity. In offense you want crit chance, crit damage. Cooldown reduction not so important, because you will be reducing it so much anyway. Attack speed is, there is a good argument for attack speed, because the Manticore is a very slow weapon. But this is what I prefer. Resist all, the first pick for me at least, then life, then armor, and the last life regen. Resource cost reduction I find is the really important one here, because you can spam a lot more cluster arrows, which mean a lot more damage, of course. Area damage, because they fixed area damage. I'm sure you've heard this from other people, but before this patch, area damage was a little bugged, but now it actually works as intended. I'm not really that, you know, I don't know a lot about area damage. I just know that they fixed it, so area damage is a lot better now than it was. So yeah, that's actually all the skills and gear I wanted to show you. So so here we are. This is a Rift 55. So what you see me doing here is that what you actually want to be doing is that you want to be plopping out sentries as quickly as possible. It doesn't really matter if they are near mobs, because the sentries all they count as they are active. It doesn't really matter where they are placed. You can just place them at the beginning, and they have an absurd range. But yeah, of course it's better when you place it closer to the mobs, because they deal a lot of damage. But you know, just to get the damage bonus out, you can just place some sentries as you move along here. But this build is a work in progress, because, as I said, I have the necessary items. But the thing is, I haven't really got the itemization right. Because I can, for one, I can get a much better Manticore. And for the second, I can just general items. Oh yeah, of course. You can get cold damage on, let's say, Amulet. I haven't got that, so there's another thing you can improve. So basically, you want to get as much cold damage as you can, and just general good items in particularly Manticore, of course. So yeah, that's this build. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you next time.